Let's move on. It is great news for Hindus and Buddhists in India. In just 2 months, they will be able to trek to Mount Kailash from the Indian territory. Up until now, pilgrims had to travel to Tibet to start their journey.
In 21 days, I was in Kailash, trekked. My muscle mass had gone down, my legs had become like this. Always I've been walking, trekking, playing games, but my muscle mass went down so much in these 8 weeks, I just shrank like that.
Mount Kailash is considered one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Hidden deep within the Tibetan Himalayas, it holds a unique distinction. No human has ever successfully climbed it. Not a single confirmed ascent exists in all of recorded history. But that's only the beginning of the mystery. For thousands of years, monks, pilgrims, scientists, and explorers who have traveled near this mountain have described strange and difficult-to-explain events. Many claim to have witnessed unusual phenomena or had experiences that don't seem to follow the normal rules of the world around us. In recent years, some Tibetan monks who have spent decades living in the shadow of the mountain have begun speaking more openly about what they believe is happening there. After years of quiet observation and spiritual practice in the region, they now share their thoughts publicly. And according to them, the truth behind this mysterious mountain may be far more unsettling than most people realize. This is the story of one of the greatest mysteries on Earth, and the surprising truth that may have been hiding in plain sight for centuries. It all centers around a mountain that no one has ever climbed. When people first see Mount Kailash from a distance, many say it doesn't look like a typical mountain at all. Instead, it appears almost as if it were carefully designed or shaped on purpose. Its sides rise in a nearly perfect symmetry, forming a structure that seems unusually precise for something created purely by nature. What makes this even more puzzling is that humans have successfully climbed mountains far taller and far more dangerous. Mount Everest has been reached by climbers more than 10,000 times. Meanwhile, K2, a peak many mountaineers consider even more deadly than Everest, has also been climbed numerous times. Yet despite all the progress in modern mountaineering, Mount Kailash remains untouched. Even though it isn't among the 100 tallest mountains in the world, no one has ever successfully reached its summit. And that unanswered question continues to puzzle explorers, scientists, and historians alike. And it's not because people haven't tried. Over the centuries, several expedition teams have attempted to climb Mount Kailash. Yet every attempt has ended the same way. Either the climbers chose to turn back, or they were forced to abandon the journey due to strange and difficult circumstances they struggled to fully explain. In 2001, the government of China officially banned climbing the mountain. The decision came after requests from both Hinduism and Buddhism communities, who have long considered the mountain a sacred and spiritually important place. But the mountain's mysterious reputation had already existed long before the ban. Climbers who tried to reach the summit often reported sudden and extreme weather changes that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Others described feeling strange disorientation and confusion at altitudes where experienced mountaineers would normally feel fine. Some even claimed that no matter how long they kept climbing, it felt as if they weren't getting any closer to the summit at all, as if the mountain itself refused to be reached. Many climbers who approached the mountain described the same strange feeling, that the mountain itself simply did not want to be climbed. It's a difficult sensation to explain, but those who experienced it said the feeling was impossible to ignore. And that's where the story begins to get even stranger. At the base of Mount Kailash lies Lake Manasaravar. Sitting at an altitude of about 4,590 meters, it is one of the highest freshwater lakes in the world. But the real mystery goes far beyond the lake itself. The region surrounding Mount Kailash is also the source area for 4 of Asia's major rivers. These rivers are the Indus River, the Brahmaputra River, the Sutlej River, and the Karnali River. What makes this remarkable is the way they flow outward from the Kailash region in the 4 main directions: north, south, east, and west. Together, these river systems provide water to nearly 2 billion people across several countries, including India, China, Nepal, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Scientists who study Earth's water systems have called this one of the most unusual hydrological coincidences on the planet. The idea that 4 massive rivers could originate near a single mountain and then flow in nearly opposite directions challenges what we usually expect from natural geography. Under normal circumstances, river systems simply don't behave this way. What makes this even more fascinating is that ancient texts seem to describe this long before modern science confirmed it. Ancient Hindu scriptures known as the Puranas spoke about a sacred mountain, Mount Kailash, as the origin of 4 great rivers flowing out toward the 4 corners of the world. For centuries, Historians believed these descriptions were simply symbolic mythology. But when modern satellite mapping and geographic studies were conducted, scientists discovered something remarkable. The rivers were real, and their sources were located almost exactly where the ancient texts had described them. This discovery created a puzzling question. How could people writing thousands of years ago know the detailed geography of such a remote and difficult-to-reach part of Tibet, a place they almost certainly had never visited? Then there are the stories passed down by the monks. For generations, Tibetan monks living in monasteries near Mount Kailash have preserved detailed oral histories about the mountain and the unusual events surrounding it. These accounts, passed down over centuries, include descriptions of strange phenomena that monks claim to have witnessed or experienced themselves. In recent years, as global curiosity about Mount Kailash has grown, especially after several viral scientific discussions, some of these monks have begun sharing parts of these long-kept stories more openly than ever before. And what these monks describe is deeply unsettling. Monks from different monasteries around Mount Kailash have independently reported experiencing the same strange phenomenon near the mountain. According to their accounts, time itself seems to behave differently there, not in a symbolic or poetic way, but in a way that appears measurable and physical. Some monks who spent long periods near the mountain claim that their hair and fingernails began growing much faster than normal. In certain accounts, growth that would usually take several weeks seemed to happen within just a day or two while they were close to the mountain. Interestingly, similar stories have also been shared by some Western researchers who visited the Kailash region over the past 2 decades. A team of scientists from Russia who traveled there in the early 2000s later reported something unusual. They claimed that while staying near the mountain, their bodies seemed to age more quickly than expected. Some even said that fingernail growth they would normally see over 2 or 3 weeks appeared to occur in only about 12 hours. It's important to note that these claims have never been scientifically confirmed under controlled laboratory conditions. However, what makes the reports intriguing is that people from completely different cultures, time periods, and parts of the world have described very similar experiences without any direct connection to each other. The monks have their own explanation for this phenomenon. They call it the mountain's breath. According to their belief, Mount Kailash exists on a different flow or frequency of time compared to the rest of the world, and when someone comes too close, they may briefly become affected by that unusual rhythm of time. There is another detail about Mount Kailash that has puzzled geologists and researchers for decades. The mountain's shape is incredibly unusual. From many angles, Mount Kailash appears almost like a perfectly formed pyramid. Not just vaguely pyramid-like, but strikingly symmetrical, with 4 distinct faces that seem to align closely with the main compass directions. The slopes and angles of the mountain also appear surprisingly even and balanced on all sides. This kind of symmetry is extremely rare in natural geological formations. Most mountains are created through powerful natural forces such as tectonic collisions, erosion, and volcanic activity. These processes are chaotic and unpredictable, usually producing rough, jagged, and irregular shapes. Because of this, the kind of clean and balanced structure seen in Mount Kailash is something geology doesn't commonly produce. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, a Russian researcher named Ernst Moldashev led several expeditions to the Kailash region. After studying the mountain and the surrounding landscape, he made a claim that quickly sparked intense debate and controversy among scientists and researchers. After studying the region, Ernst Moldashev put forward a very controversial idea. He suggested that Mount Kailash might show signs of being man-made, or at least partially modified by an ancient civilization. According to his theory, the mountain could be a massive pyramid-like structure built so far back in history that nature has slowly begun reclaiming it over thousands of years. Moldashev pointed to what he believed was unusual geometric precision in the mountain's faces. He also noted several smaller pyramid-shaped formations in the surrounding landscape that appear to echo the same structure as Mount Kailash. Most scientists in the mainstream research community rejected this idea, and the theory remains unproven. However, even many experts who dismiss the pyramid hypothesis still agree on one point: the mountain's symmetry is unusually striking and not easily explained by typical geological processes. Because of that, the discussion about why Mount Kailash looks the way it does is still not completely settled. There is also another very real and documented challenge connected to the mountain. Despite standing at about 6,638 meters, a height that experienced climbers regularly reach on many other peaks, The upper section of Mount Kailash appears to be practically impossible to access. Near the top, climbers report encountering massive walls of ice and extremely steep surfaces that make the final ascent nearly unreachable. And the mystery isn't simply because of the climbing ban imposed by China. Long before the restriction was put in place, many experienced climbers had already tried to reach the upper slopes of Mount Kailash. Nearly all of them reported running into the same unusual obstacle. The ice that forms along the upper walls of the mountain behaves very differently from typical glacial ice found on other peaks. The slopes are extremely steep, the surfaces often become almost completely vertical, and the ice itself can shift in unpredictable ways. These conditions make climbing routes far more dangerous and unstable than they first appear. Several expedition leaders who attempted to climb the mountain before 2001 described something even stranger. Routes that looked possible from a distance often became completely impassable once climbers got close. It was as if the mountain resisted being approached, changing the conditions in ways they had not expected. Then, there is the weather. The atmospheric conditions around the summit of Mount Kailash are known for being unusually unpredictable. Clear skies can suddenly transform into powerful storms within minutes. Climbers familiar with the Himalayas say the weather patterns around Kailash behave very differently compared to other mountains in the same region. What makes it even more unusual is that these storms often appear to be highly localized, forming almost directly around the mountain itself, and arriving with very little warning. For Tibetan monks, none of these strange events are surprising. For generations, they have believed that Mount Kailash is protected, not by people but by powerful forces that follow rules humans do not yet fully understand. The mystery of the region doesn't end with the mountain itself. Nearby, there are two remarkable lakes that sit very close to each other, almost side by side. The first is Lake Manasarovar, which followers of Hinduism consider one of the holiest lakes on Earth. Right next to it is Lake Rakshastal, a saltwater lake with a very different character. The two lakes are separated only by a narrow strip of land, yet they seem to have completely opposite qualities. Lake Manasarovar is a calm, freshwater lake, often described as peaceful and still. In contrast, Lake Rakshastal contains salty water and is known for its rough surface and strong winds. Ancient Hindu scriptures, including the Puranas, describe Manasarovar as the Lake of the Gods. Meanwhile, Rakshastal is associated with the legendary demon king Ravana and is often referred to as the Lake of the Demon King. What makes this especially fascinating is that the real physical differences between the two lakes seem to reflect these ancient descriptions almost perfectly. In recent years, something else about the region has begun attracting serious scientific interest. Studies using sonar technology and geological surveys around Mount Kailash have suggested the possible presence of large underground chambers and tunnel-like structures beneath the mountain. These findings are still very early and have not yet been fully explored or confirmed. However, they have appeared in several geological reports studying the unusual seismic behavior of the Kailash region. The area lies within a seismically active zone, and scientists have noticed something unusual about how seismic waves move through the mountain. The way these waves travel suggests that the interior of Mount Kailash might not be completely solid in the same way many other mountains in the surrounding Himalayas are. Interestingly, Tibetan monks have spoken about hidden spaces beneath the mountain for centuries. In the ancient Bon spiritual tradition, there are long-standing stories describing secret chambers, or hidden lands, beneath Mount Kailash. These places are said to be sacred spaces, accessible only to individuals who have reached a high level of spiritual understanding. For a long time, historians believed these descriptions were purely symbolic or spiritual metaphors. The modern geological surveys have not proven that such chambers actually exist, but they also haven't ruled out the possibility. Then something happened that brought even more attention to these stories. In 2025, a group of Tibetan scholars and senior monks from monasteries around the Kailash region made public statements that caught international interest. Speaking through translators, they shared accounts that had been passed down through their monastic traditions for generations. The monks explained that these accounts have been carefully preserved for hundreds of years within their communities and monastic traditions. However, they say these stories were rarely shared publicly with the outside world. According to their teachings, Mount Kailash is not simply a mountain in the ordinary sense. Instead, they describe it as a cosmic pillar, a special place where the physical world and other levels of existence meet or intersect. From this perspective, the unusual experiences people report near the mountain such as strange time perception, disorientation, and the repeated difficulty climbers face when trying to reach the summit, are not random events. The monks say these phenomena are exactly what their traditions have described for centuries. In their view, the mountain doesn't always follow normal physical rules because it does not exist entirely within the physical world. They also address the mountain's pyramid-like appearance directly. In the ancient Bon tradition, it is said that the shape of the mountain was not formed naturally. Instead, the teachings claim its form was given long before recorded human history by forces that were not human. The monks say their tradition does not clearly identify who or what those forces were, but it strongly suggests that the mountain's shape was created intentionally. Of course, these ideas come from spiritual and religious beliefs, and they cannot be confirmed using modern scientific methods. At the same time, the monks often point out something interesting. Scientific studies conducted so far have not fully explained several of the mountain's mysteries. Its remarkable symmetry, the unusual experiences people report near it, the rivers that begin in the region, or why climbing it has proven so difficult. For now, the mystery of Mount Kailash remains open and continues to fascinate scientists, historians, and spiritual seekers around the world. So what do you think is really happening at Mount Kailash? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed exploring this mystery, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another fascinating story.